right, so today we're talking about leading in a home. We're talking about using our leadership through our influence. And so I want to define leadership as a very simple way. Leadership is using our influence to move people or something or an idea from here to there. Now, we're here to there for a shepherd. It could be literally taking animals from one place to the next. And I always say about leading sheep, and just like leading people, you don't drive sheep, you lead sheep. You can drive cattle, but you always have to lead sheep, and you have to lead people. You have to take them where they need to be, and you have to be out front leading. And so moving from here to there, in leadership, that could be physically, geographically, that could be financially, emotionally, spiritually. But leadership is using our influence, and so we're leveraging our influence that's built in trust. Another way to say that is the way that if you're a student of leadership, maybe you read some John Maxwell, maybe you've read something like the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, kind of one of his flagship books. He talks about the law of respect and how people always follow someone who has more skills or more knowledge. And he kind of, if you rate people from a 1 to 10, and I'll show you this diagram right here. So you have people who are, on a 1 to 10 being highly skilled and 1's being low skill, how people kind of naturally align to follow that person. And so it's called the law of respect. And so we can also say respect, or you could also say trust. People have high trust, people will follow them. And so let's talk about how can we build that trust? How do we build the law of respect? Now, I'm kind of use those two words interchangeably here in a way, and I'll show you how they kind of play out together. So let me erase this and we'll start again. Now we talk about leading, and we talk about leveraging our influence, and it's built on trust. I want to say there's 2 or 3 different ways we could look at that. The first one, we talk about, our circles of influence, and we talk about, we have to have self-leadership at the very core, then we lead our family, and then we lead our community. But there's also leading in an organization, and we can learn from leading for organization with leading with our family as well. If you're trying to pitch and move a company or a business or an organization to a preferred future out here, there are stakeholders that are right in that core center that they're the people that they have to hear that idea first. You've got to talk to them first before you can come out here, because if you cast vision out in that outer band and you skip your stakeholders, you're going to lose trust, because there's people who need to hear it first. Just like in our families, like spouses have to be on the same page before, we run ideas outside of the home, because, that's usually when men get in a lot of trouble. We kind of run ideas out here without bringing our spouse along with us. Now, let's continue to talk about trust, because there's an equation for this. Another way to think about building trust is presence over time. We talked about that. As a shepherd has to be in the field, you have to be present, but not just present. You have to be a non-anxious presence. Now, I talk really fast and get really excited, so sometimes I have to remind myself to be a non-anxious presence and to be physically there. Not just physically there, but mentally available while I am there, because I get really, really keyed in on my work. So I got to be present over time. As a dad, we have to be that. And then also respect. We talk about leading and taking people with this respect. And so how do we build respect? Well, it's competency over time. I'm just going to abbreviate it for now. Talk about building our competency, and you heard my dad talk about the more time you spend and the more that you learn. So the more that you're with the sheep and the more you know about the sheep, the better leader. Competency is in the home. We've got to be competent. Like our wives want us to be competent. They want us to lead. They want us to not to just like wait for someone else to take the lead. They want to see us showing the skill set that we can actually lead. And we know this, people respect someone that can replicate results over time, and that's what respect is about. Now this is modeled after Jesus. Now Jesus, we read in Philippians chapter 2, it says that Jesus came down to our inner ring, to our present time, and he gained trust because he stepped into that earthly flesh with us, and he walked with us. And so we know that he was present with us in our time. That's the whole incarnation story of Jesus. And he wasn't just present with us, he was competent. He was the healer, the great physician, but even more, he called himself the great shepherd. that he was the shepherd who was present, and he's the good shepherd who knows what's good for us, and he does good for us. And everything that he does is good for us because everything that Jesus did is for his glory and for our good. And because he is present and the Holy Spirit is present at all times, we can trust God. And because God is competent and he's given us everything we needed for victory in this life, and he exists and he owns time itself, we can respect God. And so we look to Jesus, we look to God as our model of how to build trust, and hopefully that replicates in our own families. Well, guys, I hope this has been helpful for you, and it's been a joy to share, especially to share my dad with you today. And I hope that you've learned some things from him. I have so much respect and trust for that man, and I am who I am today as a product of his leadership, and my mom as well. And so I hope that you gain some things from him today as well. We thank you for being with us. Take care.